Hello and welcome to the TCR Virtual Series highlights package from round 1 at Laguna Seca. The racing has been completed, the thrills, the spills and the drama has unfolded out on circuit, and we're going to use this opportunity to tell you all about what's happened in the opening round of the competition. Before we do that, let's take a quick look at what exactly is the TCR Virtual Series. Run on Assetto Corsa, this is a free to enter competition where the aim of the game is to get as many drivers racing as possible. There is a €10,000 cash prize pool, a test in a real world TCR car, and of course some exceptional prizes from our sponsors Next Level Racing and Venom Pedals. Incredible prizes and incredible competition. TCR Virtual is like nothing else that has gone before. The aim is to get as many people racing as possible, just like the real world TCR series around the world. So, that must mean a hot lap leaderboard competition with the top 20 drivers going on to complete the championship, right? Wrong. TCR Virtual takes place on simracing.gp, the home of competitive online sim racing, and is open to absolutely everybody. All drivers had to do to qualify for the TCR Virtual knockout stages of the competition is take part in a 10-minute race. Now the key here is to finish with 0 incidents. No contact, off track or spins are allowed, and if you can deliver a result without any of those criteria being breached, you will unlock a regional knockout competition. Here, drivers will select a heat from their region and participate in a race against their fellow qualified drivers. In order to progress from this first round, the drivers must finish within the top 50% of the entered competitors in the race. The top 50% progress to the next round. The bottom 50% are knocked out of the competition. This is an entirely new way of doing esports, and one that is guaranteed to produce an incredible experience for the drivers and ultimately a worthy champion. That's the TCR Virtual Championship, and before we head to the highlights package from the opening round of competition, let's have a look at some statistics from the qualifying phases of this new for 2021 esport category. There have been 891 qualification races so far in this campaign. 7,623 drivers have taken part in their bid to qualify for the knockout phases of the competition, and an incredible 49,648 laps have been raced so far during the qualifying phase of this brand new series, really putting the spirit of competition, the ability to get out there on track and race your rivals firmly in the hands of our drivers within the sim racing esports community. TCR Virtual is dedicated to giving a first-rate experience to our drivers, and as we mentioned earlier in the show, some incredible prizes are on offer. Now, before we go any further, let's take a very quick look at what the TCR series is in reality, and then check out the highlights from the opening race of the campaign. First introducing time for the 2014 racing season, TCR is a touring car rule set with organisations and national championships around the globe. The series is based on 4 and 5-door production vehicles mated with a 2-litre turbo engine. TCR has been designed as an accessible motorsport, and it produces some of the best racing you will find. You will certainly recognise many of the TCR cars in the real world series as familiar hatchbacks and saloons from some of the most famous brands around the globe. The difference being These cars have been transformed for the racetrack. A minimum weight of just 1,250 kilograms, a TCR car is significantly lighter than its road-going equivalent. Pair this with a 2-litre turbocharged engine that produces around 340 to 350 horsepower, and these things are incredibly fast and incredibly nimble to drive. A TCR car is front-wheel driven. Prepare for a very different kind of challenge to what you would normally find within sim racing. Carrying speed, carrying momentum through the corners is key to driving a touring car quickly. There's a reason why TCR has become one of the biggest forms of motorsport over the last few years, and that is simply the incredible racing that you can get with this specification of car. At a relatively low cost, with incredible performance, a TCR car allows true bumper-to-bumper racing. Round 1 highlights for the Asia Pacific region here at Laguna Seca. Lachlan Nichols took a commanding pole position and a lights to flag race victory in the Honda Civic, getting away from the line sharply ahead of a field of 20 very competitive drivers squabbling for position on the run down into the Andretti hairpin. Nichols would be unchallenged throughout the race, although did come under pressure in the closing stages from the Audi currently running in second position. However, while Lachlan Nichols showed some domination out of the front of the field, the real story of the race would be this man, Ajit Misra from India, in third position in the Hyundai Elantra TCR. Initially starting in third place, having the best seats in the house as our two race leaders squabble for that early race lead. The Hyundai showing great pace here at Laguna Seca. A bit of argy-bargy from first and second position would soon open the door for Misra to find his way past into that all-important second place and start the attack on our pole position man, an early race leader, Lachlan Nichols. A great move around the outside here from the Hyundai driver, keeping it brave, keeping it within the confines of the circuit and getting the job done as we run up to the world famous corkscrew corner here at Laguna Seca. Braking on the grass leads to some sideways excitement, but Misra does great work to get second position, and many thought that was the beginning of a charge for race victory. However, fate would have a different idea for the Indian driver. A dive down pit road due to short fuel in the car. That would push Misra outside of the points. Here we see him in position 12. This is the penultimate lap of the race, so lightning fast speed from the Hyundai Elantra TCR around the outside into the final hairpin, trying to secure that 10th position right at the very conclusion of the race. Misra gets a good run down into T1, the Andretti hairpin. We now reach the final lap of the race. Remember, the top 10 positions are the places you need to finish to qualify for this competition. The Cupra runs a little bit wide into the opening corner. That opens the door for Misra to get that all-important 10 position and complete what has been an incredible recovery drive from that very unfortunate mistake. Lachlan Nichols flashing the lights to a back marker ahead, crosses the line as our first victor of the Asia Pacific region. Lights to flag victory, shadowed by the Audi behind. A dominant performance from the Australian driver to take the all-important qualification place and, more importantly, a race victory against his rivals. In Asia Pacific Heat 3, it would be Akeem bin Abbas who took pole position and eventually converted that into the race victory. The Alfa Romeo driver showing great skill and absolute domination over the course of this race, never putting a wheel wrong at this tricky Laguna Seca circuit to see home his rivals when the checkered flag fell. Sadly, a little bit further down the running order, this contact would put pay to the early prospects of Chris Burnett, getting involved in an incident from 11th place on the grid at T4 here at Laguna Seca. We'll take a look at this incident again on board with Barrett as he comes around the circuit, a very tight track, of course, here at Laguna Seca. Very little room for manoeuvre should an incident occur. Let's ride on board now. A couple of Lincoln Co's and a Honda get involved with each other. One contact, then a second one, spinning Barrett round into last position, 2 seconds in arrears of the remainder of the field. For most drivers, that would signify the conclusion of their activity, but Barrett continued onwards, setting a consistent pace as he charged back to that all-important top 10. Fernando Friedli getting involved in contact once again. A Lincoln Co in the heat of battle that would drop Friedli down the running order and allow Barrett past another position. Currently now we see Barrett in 15th place as we headed up to the corkscrew. Another Alpha in strife that is running wide on the all-important uphill section into the corkscrew. Barrett finds his way past into P15. Still 5 more places to clear before the qualification spot can be completed, but Barrett will drive very, very neatly indeed. Here we see cars for 13th and 12th position contact with each other. That's another place earned for Barrett as he heads down into the Andretti hairpin. This is the final lap of the race. 11th and 10th place we see ahead of him. Contact between those two drivers. Barrett serenely on and into the gap, and unbelievably from last place at the start of the race, Chris Barrett finds himself now in the points paying positions in that critical 10th place. A final lap pass just goes to show that consistency and a never say die attitude can reward drivers with the ultimate prize. At the front of the field though, Akeem bin Abbas had no such drama as the Alfa Romeo driver pole position, an early race lead, a consistent and lightning fast performance would give him the checkered flag in dominant fashion here at Heat 3, firmly marking out Akeem bin Abbas as one of the potential favourites of the Asia Pacific region. Burnett now we're looking at coming round the final hairpin unbelievably in that 10th place. He lives to fight another day and earns himself a qualification spot in round 2.
My name is Alberto Puig. I work at Business Development and WSC Group, the owners of TCR and ETCR trademarks. Why did we do the TCR virtual project? The reason why is that we want to create the biggest TCR touring car racing platform in the world. We have created this on the last years with real racing, and now the combustion real racing is the first pillar that we did, and now we are developing the 2 new pillars, which are electric racing and the virtual racing. For us nowadays, we have a TCR car racing almost every week, and the goal is to have a TCR racing car racing every day. So that's why we started with the TCR virtual. It's the sim racing world is a very democratic world where everyone can participate from home. I mean, you just sit on your rig and you start racing, and this is why we wanted to create something for everyone out there to be able to race a TCR car. So for the development of the mode, we want to use the same vision that we've been using on TCR. So we want to partner with everyone that is involved, all the stakeholders. On one side we have the manufacturers, on the other side we have the racing community, right? So we wanted to develop this mod involving the manufacturers in all the process. So they were aware of everything that we've been doing, all the physics, they shared all the physics of the cars, all the data. So we were able to create the most accurate TCR virtual version of the cars, and we also involved the racing community in testing the cars and everything. So they get we have all the information, all the feedback from the racing community, telling us how the car behaves, how everything is done, and we wanted to create the most accurate version of the TCR cars on the virtual world. For us, creating a unique racing format, it was important in order to create something that was very democratic, so everyone can participate, and it's not just limited by being fast on just one lap, but being fast, consistent, and being able to race. So for us, sim racing is actually about racing, and what we wanted to do is get people racing, and that's why we created this unique format. So everyone will get the chance to actually be on a race by qualifying and actually racing against other drivers, and not just racing against themselves and the clock. So for us, the future of TCR virtual and TCR sim racing as I was saying before, we want to have these three major pillars with our real combustion engine racing, electric wheel racing, and then we want to have virtual racing. And this is key for us also to create a big community here. We want to have the biggest touring car racing community on the virtual world as well. And this is what our focus is, to create the widest community on sim racing, and that everyone will be able to participate whenever they want, however they want, whichever car they would like to race.
Heading to the Americas category, it would be a lights to flag victory for Andreas Filipuzzi in the little Peugeot. Taking pole position, Filipuzzi would be unchallenged throughout the race, taking the checkered flag 11 seconds ahead of his rival. But the real story of the race would be this monumental battle for 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th. We're looking at Brandon Powell in the Audi R8 LMS Evo, fighting tooth and nail with the cars around him. Remember, a top 10 position is all these drivers need in order to progress through the field, but that does not stop them racing tooth and nail for positions. We head down into the Andretti hairpin, the Hyundai making its way past. Coming now on lap 3 through the corkscrew set of corners, Rudolf Stein is currently the lead driver in 5th position, but he is under significant pressure from his 3 rivals behind. This would be a fight that continues throughout the course of this 15-minute race. No quarter asked, no quarter given by any one of these drivers. Powell currently watch him breathe in 8th position as Andreas Filipuzzi crosses the line to take the checkered flag. A dominant race victory in the little Peugeot, but that will not stop these 4 drivers all the way through the final corner. Rudolf Stein is the man that comes out ahead of this incredible battle to take 5th position at the checkered flag in this Heat 2 of the TCR Virtual Americas Championship. Over in Heat 3, Ian Arnold would have a fantastic race in 10th position, racing on the penultimate lap to find his way past the cars ahead of him. Arnold running down into the hairpin on the penultimate lap, shows his nose at the inside of the Lincoln Co. That gives room, that gives opportunity for Arnold to take the position and take the qualification ticket in to round 2. Brendan Hawking at the front of the field takes another lights to flag victory, 7 seconds ahead of the rest of the pack. Moving over into Heat 5, Pablo Rome would have a very intense race indeed in the Honda. Here we see him now fighting very hard indeed with Jaden Burke for that 2nd position on the racetrack. Rome and Burke would be separated by absolutely nothing for the majority of this race, fighting so incredibly hard for track position, making contact with each other on multiple occasions as they give the very best of what touring car racing has to offer. Coming here now through the corkscrew, looking one way, looking the other, trying to find a way past. This is an old school circuit here at Laguna Seca, very difficult to find a way past, but Pablo Rome would give absolutely everything in his fight for Jaden Burke, fighting for, remember, 2nd position on the racetrack. Here he is, Jaden Burke now riding on board with the Cupra driver, gets a good run up the hill into the corkscrew, telegraphs the move nice and early for the braking point. Can he get alongside the car ahead? Yes, he can. Burke using all the braking capacity and more rally style on the brakes into the corkscrew to secure that 2nd position. Outstanding driving from those two as Trev Hummer at the front of the field dominates proceedings to take the checkered flag for Lincoln Co. and race victory. Moving over into Heat 9, Andreas Campitelli was our pole position man, half a second clear of the field in qualifying, and the firm favourite to take a race victory in Heat 9, but coming down into the Andretti hairpin on the very first lap, outbrakes himself on cold tyres, run wide onto the gravel. There is no grip there, and that drops our former race leader all the way down into 7th position on the track, while the Alfa Romeo is squabbling to get himself back forward momentum and close the cars behind. There's a ping pong contact behind, a couple of drivers taking themselves out of contention. Campitelli round the outside now, further contact in front of him, does well to escape that one relatively unscathed, and that moves him into 5th position. Here we're seeing an overtaking manoeuvre in the very popular corkscrew section. Many drivers using this to their advantage. This is Campitelli now going up into 5th place. A great pass, 4th position. A great pass into the corkscrew, and this now is the fight for position 3 through the final corner. You want to get a good run for the run downhill into T1, the Andretti hairpin, named after, of course, the famous Andretti dynasty in American motor racing. Campitelli very, very keen to recover from that early mistake. Hard on the brakes alongside the Honda. The Honda runs deep. Campitelli does well to keep the car firmly to the apex, and with it, that is 3rd position, a manoeuvre that he would execute again for 2nd later in the race. And now, as we come round the final corner, the checkered flag is about to be waved in front of us, and Andreas Campitelli recovers from that first lap incident back in to 2nd position. Moving into the European strand of the competition, Heat 4 would show exactly how it is not done. Heading down into the first corner, many cars making contact with each other. Angel Agis is the man that just about manages to weave his way through the drama to take up 11th position. That's a good opportunity heading down into the corkscrew to take that qualification place, but unfortunately for Agis that would all go wrong and it doesn't even make it to the end of the corkscrew, allowing Peter Jackas up into 10th position. Jackas would have a hard fight with a fellow Hyundai for that 11th and 12th position, but it would eventually be Peter Jackas that took 10th place and the qualification spot as he rounds the final hairpin on the outside and in to that 10th position. At the front of the field, Theobald Profs would be the man with the mission and the checkered flag to take race victory in this, the fourth heat of the European Championships. Heading over into Heat 7, Leonardo Dalcamo makes a jump start from pole position that immediately gives David Vieira the opportunity to take a race lead before the lights have even gone green. Further down the running order, there's more contact between our cars. There is Dalcamo coming out of pit lane and back into the race. This would be the story of the race though, and this is Alessio Famolari currently in third position. The fight for race victory between Vieira, Greco and Famolari would be all race long. These three drivers putting on a tremendous show for each other and for the audiences at home as they fight with everything they have to take the ultimate race victory. David Vieira there in the Lincoln Co. in its traditional cyan racing colours, currently the leader of the pack from the Alfa Romeo, and the Honda keeping a watching brief in third position. These cars would be separated by absolutely nothing for the duration of the race, but David Vieira was the man that eventually took the checkered flag first and race victory here in the 7th heat of the European strand of this, the TCR Virtual Championships. Over in heat 18, Michael Clean would be the man in the middle of all of the drama. Clean, as you can see, in the Alfa Romeo heading down into the first corner, slightly cleaner but still not clean enough than we've seen in some of the other European races. Clean does well to snowplow his way through two spinning cars and to remain in contention for that all-important top 10 position. Here we see him now having another opportunity to find a way past a couple of slower cars. Clean currently in 10th position now at this stage in the race, looking to fight his way past the fellow Alfa Romeo for a 9th position and a little bit of a safety net to stay within the bubble, within the qualification spaces for the round 2 of this knockout competition. The two Alfa Romeos come together. That opens the door for the Peugeot to find its way past, dropping Clean back down into 10th position and in the risky spot of the race. Michele Nerbe will be the man though that took race victory. Another Lincoln Co dominating at the front of the field, and a very strong result for Michele Nerbe. Down in heat 22, James Stevenson would be fighting for that 10th position. Once again, the race for the bubble, and this is how easy, ladies and gentlemen, victory can be taken from the grasp of defeat. James Stevenson, 11th place, the Alfa Romeo goes wide, 10th position becomes the Audi's car, and that is a qualification spot for the second round of the knockout phase. Josh Martin would be one of the most entertaining drivers in the field today for this heat 22. The Scottish driver representing Honda in the TCR Virtual Championship had a great race long battle. Look at him now using all of the car control and experience that we know Josh Martin has to keep himself and his rival on the racetrack. Another look again, top down view at just how close these two cars came to disaster, but all's well that ends well. Martin does great work to keep the Honda on the straight and narrow and continue to fight for position. That was for P3. Now we're looking at the overtake for second position. Martin recovered from that early slide, got the car back under control, an unconventional place to make an overtake at Laguna Seca, but job done for Josh Martin as Andrea Bria takes the checkered flag and race victory in heat 22. The Honda man never touched by his rivals. Down in heat 34, this would be Andrea Valli, currently running in the qualification spots, gets it all wrong, under braking into the Andretti hairpin, into the gravel, 2 places lost, and that is qualification over and done with for another year. Karol Urbanak would be our early race leader. He would be having a fantastic battle with second place Mericek all race long. These two cars duking it out at the front of the field, but Urbanak soaked up all of that pressure in the little Peugeot to stay ahead of Mericek to the checkered flag. These two cars separated by the scant distance of just 0.08 of a second as they cross the line for Urbanak to take the race victory and a place in the second round of the qualification phase of the TCR Virtual 2021 Championship. And that's it from TCR Virtual Round 1 here at the legendary Laguna Seca circuit in the United States. Now remember, we said at the beginning of this competition that we would be giving away some awesome prizes, and now is our first opportunity to give those away, the next level racing and Venom prizes. And here are our competition winners from the opening weekend of the season. Derek Nagel and Johan Kast. Congratulations on your victory. We will be in touch very shortly to hand out your prizes, and also our drivers can win next level racing accessories. All they have to do is complete a knockout heat with 100% race distance, and for next level racing they're giving away a keyboard stand or a monitor stand to one lucky driver selected at random that made that criteria, and that driver is Max Bowman. So congratulations Max for your next level racing prize. And of course, from Venom, we have a set of the incredible load cell Venom pedals worth €750. The driver who's completed 100% race distance in the knockout heat and gets these pedals is Simon Tribeck. Simon, congratulations. Congratulations to all our winners here at round 1 at Laguna Seca, and I'll be back next week when we visit the Red Bull Ring in Austria. So to everybody at home, thank you so much for tuning in to this highlight show. We hope you enjoyed the on-track action, and we can't wait to see you again. From myself, Paul Jeffrey, and the whole team here at TCR Virtual, thanks very much, and until next time, take care. Bye-bye.